I'm listening. Sunshine. Can you hear your sunshine?
I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah. How are
I don't
you?
know why I don't know how to use this thing, but it's hopefully it looks okay. Um, we can roll with it.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay, great. Perfect. So, welcome to my Keep Rocking music podcast. And it was really nice meeting you at Brooklyn Music Kitchen. Uh, I think when I did not see you perform, I think I came later, but I'm so glad we connected because then I was able to see your, the work that you have done, your album, amazing stuff. And I was just pleasantly shocked, and it's a gem, and you should share it with the world because we all want organic songwriting and in the world of AI where it's all recycled bullshit and commercial cheap stakes work like yours doesn't lose weight and it doesn't filter with the passage of time and although you released it in 2019, I think for me a good song never gets old. And
Right.
the way you have kind of you know illustrated your imagination, your musical concepts into and the way you packaged it in form of song and hooks and musical pieces and solos and beautiful melodies and amazing singing. So just yeah, so it's
You're gonna
just
make me blush.
yes. I mean, it's the truth, and again, like Aerosmith says, let the music do the talking. It speaks for itself, and like in one of my songs called "Raise Some Hell," I say that truth like a lion. Yeah, it defends itself. So you don't need any, but of course, you need to present it to people, and just make sure it reaches to people so that because it has that virality as well to it. It keeps
Yeah.
ringing in your head, and it also has that captivating factor, which the current so-called. Uh, labels, online labels or whatever, they so much emphasize on it that within 5 seconds, 10 seconds to a song, it should be capturing the listener's imagination. So it has all the ingredients there. So tell me your journey and how you reached to the point where you produce such amazing material.
Well, thanks a lot for, the kind words about it. To me the album just kind of it just kind of grew out of like a necessity to be done. I basically, from the time I was starting to play music around 12 years old was just like coming up with ideas. And I think about the way that I always thought about the song ideas was kind of like you're getting like a puzzle piece, one puzzle piece at a time, and you don't have any idea what the whole puzzle even looks like. When you buy a puzzle and you see the box, you know what you're building, but this is different. You just get like random pieces that may or may not ever fit together. So, just for years and years, I was just like kind of filing these little pieces of things away, or initially just on guitar. I didn't sing or get involved with lyric writing or anything. I would always want to get together with other people to write songs and really let other people, the singer should be telling the story and presenting it. And that's his thing to write the lyrics. And, how does the drummer want to do the rhythm? I never really wanted to be the guy that like told anybody what to do with
Yes.
their
Yes.
part.
Yeah.
And so, years and years go by and you're in a band in high school and you meet people in college or you try to do different projects. And it's really difficult to get people on the same page, because they're getting their own puzzle pieces, right? And it's like it's hard enough to fit yours together without
Friction.
losing the vision, right?
Yeah.
And so I just had all this like these like songs and everything going, and I was in a band that was doing original music, and that was cool. But I had a bunch of ideas that didn't really fit with that, project. And the father of the bass player was just a really encouraging guy that had a basement studio and was willing to like let me come
And
over and
where is this? Where is the studio?
oh, I'm from Syracuse, New York. So everything was
Yeah.
done in Syracuse, a
Okay.
little college town, basketball
Great.
and all
Great.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, he was willing to let me come over and record, and it just started off as demos. And I was just bringing over the songs that I could play on acoustic at like an open mic with nothing else. So we recorded, just as far as I was concerned, some demos, and he kind of started to push with like, oh, well, when are you going to come over and finish this stuff? It needs to have this, it needs to have that. And it just turned into this project where we really did it backwards. Like everything started off with an acoustic guitar,
Mm.
and then we layered everything on top of like scratch tracks.
Interesting.
you know Ideally, you would know this, but maybe other people don't. Like, you would just start with the drums and then build everything on top of the drums. We did the drums like, I don't know if it was last, but it was definitely not in the right order. So it's got a little bit of a stilted thing to it. But people worked really hard on getting everything to fit together. And the thing that I the thing that I want to do on the next album, that I think, I don't want to say it was a mistake with the first album, but
Mm.
if I could do it again, I just, the one thing I feel like it misses is the real chemistry of having a band together playing it. We really tried to like make it feel that way, but it wasn't actually what was going on.
Mm. I mean, I feel that presence, and like you mentioned, the drums section, and doing it later on. I feel that as well, but I think that is a very important aspect of living in the quantized world, Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it is so artificial and it doesn't connect with your heart anymore. As far as ideas are concerned and the band is concerned, I think one thing that I feel in your music is that you really are enjoying what you're doing. And when you are doing that, that means that you have rehearsed it for a while and you have, or planned it out, and you are really into it. But for a band to reach to that level, it requires a lot of, selflessness, and lots of, not avoiding the ego clash and creative differences. Ideally, you should have your, a backing band sort of a thing, in which, it's like, because something that instantly hit me when I listened to your stuff was Jeff Buckley. And I know it's a bar too high, but of course your singing style is different. Your But what I'm trying to say is that the organic element and the feel is intact, and he played mostly with the electric guitar. But your intros and parts are, acoustic based and have a very nice and unique feel to it. So I think, like Rick Robin says that, and like you also said that, it's part of it's a gamified way of putting things together, and it's curiosity, it's exploration, it's inquiry in many cases as well, to see how it's going to turn out. So, and like all the great producers, they say that, the songs come to us and they grow on us, and we don't necessarily, try to access or summon our creative abilities into, or manifest them in a song. It just you know comes out, it comes to you. So I definitely feel that element. And tell me about your singing, because your singing is, it doesn't look like a lead guitarist turned singer. It's
Mhm.
very authentic, and it's very your vocal tone and the body is very solid and very touchy. So yeah, so tell me, when you started singing, and how you started singing, and how you came up with such because usually what happens is that in music it's about your perception and imagination, and your reception, and also how you interpret other people's ideas. So it's usually about references of what you're listening,
Mhm.
and sometimes it shows. But in your case, I don't see any definitive influences. So tell me what approach was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think anybody that's like musical, I mean, they obviously when they're very young, they grow up and they like what they like and they sing along to it. And
Yes,
I think everybody that grew up between like 1975 and 1995, like really at some point or another was a Michael Jackson fan. And I
absolutely.
was just went through a phase where like I was really into like everything that he had going on in like the early 90s.
Uh,
And you know, I can't remember everything that I was into, but there was just a lot of great music at that time. Whether it was like Boys to Men, Mariah Carey, like all these like fantastic singers and R&B and stuff was coming out, and that was probably that was probably like my favorite thing at the time. And then I didn't do much. I was playing more sports, at the time I was little. I got into music more um as a player like when I was 12, and I was really into like Guns N' Roses and Led Zeppelin and Van Halen and like the hard rock stuff.
right.
I was in a band in high school where like the drummer and the bass player they only liked Metallica. That was like the only band they listened to.
Okay.
So just got into like learning that, and it was all about like just guitar, and I always thought about like singing or piano or anything else but guitar as like a distraction, because it was like, man, like Michael Jordan wanted to play baseball for a year, but nobody wanted to hear that, and like Eddie Van Halen like wanted to play keyboards, but it's
Keyboard.
like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we just want you to play guitar, man. So I just was like really focused on that for the longest time.
Yeah.
Um, like towards the end of high school, I just I forget why, but I just started taking voice lessons with this guy, Dan,
Okay.
and then I got a chance to go back to community college for music, and I don't really remember why. I think maybe because I was in a band and we were having to do background vocals and like harmonize and stuff, and I just knew it was like a weak spot. So I started to take these lessons, and um, yeah, like you said, like you have people in your mind that you really like, um, and for me, like it's funny because I do get a lot of compliments on the singing, but to me, like I'm very uncomfortable with it all the time because I'm always wanting it to be, I want to have like Steven Tyler or like Freddie Mercury or like Axl Rose or like Michael Jackson type capability.
Hmm.
And so to me, it's just about like you aim for that,
Hmm.
but God doesn't give you that, like you got when you're writing songs and you're telling stories, the last thing you want to do is like mimic or copy somebody else.
That's right.
um I just you'd like to be able to do it, have
Yeah.
the capacity for it.
Hmm.
um but one I think when I was doing the album, I forget what year it was, but I think like David Bowie died during this whole time, and I just remember listening to a lot of his stuff after that and being like, this is a guy that's not trying to sing at like the top of his range at all. He's just very much delivering a vocal,
Yes.
and that was kind of influential with like, okay, I can still do cool things even if I'm not like, Chris Cornell or these, just incredible vocalists.
Right.
I think what you're saying, and I appreciate, is just like it. I think what people feel and relate to is just that it just sounds authentic, and that's really like you're saying. That's the important thing about doing music is just like showing yourself. Like I don't want to put anybody down, but one person I think is like a very very talented musician is Bruno Mars,
Hmm.
and just an unbelievable performer. But to me, like when I listen to his music, when I first hear it, I always think, oh, is this the Police? Is this,
Yeah.
whoever? And it's like, I don't know who that is.
Right.
Like, nothing sounds to me like him. It sounds like him doing something, and he can cover all that ground. I'm not trying to,
Right.
criticize him, of course,
Yeah.
but
I mean, when you are on the top of the ladder in pop, like he is, he's often, compared with Mike. I mean, although it's out,
Hmm.
but sometimes, because he covers Michael Jackson songs as well, especially "Way You Make Me Feel." And then I mean, I sing the complete chorus, and he sings one line of alternate in that chorus, which is a pretty tough chorus actually. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I do agree with the police part, and then when it comes to R&B, I think he does a little bit of justice, and then there are rock and roll songs like "Runaway." And I think he does an amazing thing. But when you are selling the best burger like McDonald, not the best, the most selling burger, then there are compromises,
Yeah.
in terms of ingredients and in terms of availability and distribution. So, and then Michael Jackson, in many instances, used to copy other people's stuff, but he used to do it in a very smart way. In fact,
Hmm.
Gene is a total rip-off of another band's song, which was not that famous, but now it's coming to limelight.
Which
But
which song? Which
I
song?
will I will tell you. I will tell you. Billie Jean.
I think I know what you're talking about. I just heard it like a few months ago, and I was like,
Yes.
man,
Yes.
okay, yeah. I'll be curious if I got the right one.
Yes. So every song of his has some Donna Summers, some Diana Ross, some Stevie Wonder, but he used to do it masterfully because he was there as a child, and he was a rock star as a child, and he was there before all these people. But I hear you, and I can sense what you're saying, in the sense that as long as, because at the end of the day, as long as you're doing justice to your songwriting and you're covering that range, and you are
Mhm.
delivering that emotion in its entirety, and qualifying the needs of the feel of the song, then it really doesn't matter whether you show off the range or not, as long
Hmm.
as your because for example, in Queen's songs, and Freddie Mercury showing his range in most of the hits, the easy hits, like the pop or pop rock sort of hits. He doesn't really show his range. He sticks to the mid octave and then delivers so that it hits the audience.
Yeah.
Then he can make them sing in the live shows. So I totally can relate with what you're saying, but again. It To come up with that level of originality, it requires perspective, and of course practice as well, because like I said, whatever you hear, like in writing, you whatever you read, you write,
Hmm.
in the same context. And similarly in music, whatever your listening aspirations inspirations are, you somehow,
Yeah.
but good that I thought you were
It's like learning how to talk, right? Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
we're
exactly.
born and we hear people talk and how they say things and how they tell stories and how they order food and how they, how these all these things work and yeah, you start off doing all of that and gravitating to things that feel right for you, and then somehow, all that mixes together and you get your own thing out of it.
That's right. That's right. Because at the end of the day, we have our own vocal texture based on our genetics and based on what we have practiced. So ultimately, no matter how hard we try to mimic somebody else, at the end of the day, you have to sing in your own voice. And uh, like uh, like the singer of Darkness, Justin Hawkins, is one of the greatest singers of our time. And he says that, I just copy every song of mine is a copy of somebody else, and that copy is not accurate. So, it just becomes mine.
Hmm.
So, although he has his falsetto and his, especially around early 2000s, his albums and singing was immaculate and beyond, any, even Michael Jackson, Jeff Buckley, Freddie Mercury, Robert Plant, all these people, his range and And not only just range. For example, you mentioned Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey was a huge influence on me, especially early, in 1991.
Yeah,
Her
yeah.
album, her song "I'll Be There" of Michael Jackson cover.
Hmm.
Although it had a lot to do with her marriage to Tommy Mottola. Black
Yeah.
White was on number 4, and she was on top. So that was a business game. But however, she was definitely an icon in the 90s, and she still is around Christmas every year. So, uh,
Yeah, she
yeah. And so I never, it's good to hear that you took formal lessons as well, singing lessons. And I think it really paid off because with these lessons, sometimes they make you very wooden, they make you very restrictive. But
I was just gonna say that.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I agree. Like I feel like one thing that held me back from wanting to take lessons was that, again, it's not to take anything away from anybody, but I feel like there's like when they teach you like the proper way to sing,
Hmm.
there's obviously nothing wrong with that, but it does kind of make everything kind of just have the same tone to it. Like if you're gonna like I would never be able to sing on Broadway
Hmm.
unless somebody wants to do a show about me. Like I can't cover like all, and there's people out there that can do it, and it's super impressive, and it's not to be like downgraded at all. But I just think to me like the music and the songwriting is about like storytelling,
Yeah.
and like it's not about being able to do anything and everything. It's about being able to do like your thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think what it would hold me back from like wanting to take lessons or do the different stuff is like I just didn't want to get that like over refined
Mhm.
like proper technique that just sounds like everybody, like I've seen bands before where it's like every piece of it is just like immaculate, but it has no personality,
I
and that's not what I want.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. However, when you say about authenticity and your distinct style, then and character of music and voice, then it depends on the project. If Broadway has a musical which falls in
oh
your
yeah.
your space, then and if you write music and songs for that, then definitely it will come out in the same essence.
Hmm. For
It-
sure.
yeah, it's not it isn't necessary that you have to be able to sing everything from 16, 70s and 80s, and with the entire range and opera and all these things. But definitely, like for example, before you, I interviewed another girl named Anna Christina De Silva, and she writes, for music for theater as well. And every project is different. And
Yeah.
if you listen to her original material and her songwriting, it is influenced by her classical training, but at the same time, she has a very unique and distinct approach to for writing for musicals, because she has that ability to summon her initial practices and initial learnings from classical piano side. So
Yeah.
it's just an amalgamation of what you are trying to achieve, and what is in your subconscious, because at the end of the day, as a musician, if you can program yourself or your mind or your creative abilities, then
Yeah.
you can mold it into any into any sound signatures, or into any sorts of melodies or chord structures, so to say.
Absolutely. I don't think it's like a bad thing at all. It's like, you know, it's it's like what's the priority, right? And I think it's like if you were a writer and you could write in any language, or you had like the biggest vocabulary, like obviously that's going to help you with
Yes.
your craft.
Yes.
But at the same time, like most people are going to be reading like stuff that's like at a fifth grade level, not just because it's like very accessible.
Right.
And it's like so there's like a balancing there, and I think it's like you want to like I when I one thing I didn't mention about like very early on. Like I went through like a stage where I was like extremely into the Phantom of the Opera musical. I think because my aunt and uncle went to it and I somehow heard about it, got
Mhm.
like super into it, and I would like try to like sing through the soundtrack as like a little kid.
Mhm.
And you can do like all the parts, right? You got the high voice, you can't maybe do all the low, but eventually, right? It's like if you're going to be in that, you have to like pick a character, like, and you're going to go with that. And
Yeah.
so, being able to cover all the ground
Right.
is good as like an aspiration.
That's right.
And to the degree that you can do it, it obviously helps. But if you do that without having the core thing of like what you're all about, like what's authentically like your thing,
Yeah.
then it can be good or it can be bad. It's like, do you want to be versatile
Right.
or do you want to be like the guy,
Right.
you know?
That's right.
And it takes all pieces,
That's right.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. Being a journalist is, is one thing, and then like the good thing about our times where music and music's business model has taken a different turn. It's good that this turn was overdue, because
mhm.
now people such as yourself can do their own thing without commercial constraints.
Yeah, the gatekeeping.
Yeah. And yeah, gatekeeping, and also you have to have a distinct voice in order to register, because where we started in the pop wagon, you got to be like the restaurant that serves every cuisine doesn't actually serve anything, so
Hmm.
so if you're going for Chinese food, it has to be Chinese food. If a restaurant has pizza and Chinese and everything, then none of it is good. Having said that, it's good for someone who's feeling hungry, and would like to have a lot of variety. But at the same time, although there was a time, and I think there is still is some I don't know. Should what should I label it as, or should I label it or not? That people want to be expressive about their range, and stylistically that they know opera or classical, or for example, I took Eastern classical lessons for a
Interesting.
while, yeah. And I'm gonna, upcoming in my upcoming shows, I'm gonna use and apply them into my songs, and again, trying to create a distinct voice, because right now it's about standing out and doing your own thing. So when you are doing your thing, then people will find a reason to go find your album and then click it. And otherwise, whatever is going on radio, and now whatever is going on their Apple Music or Spotify, and especially on Spotify, if you don't have a membership, you just have to listen to whatever Spotify is playing.
Yeah.
So which is painful. However, at the same time, if you are addressing sensibilities of people in a specific direction, then you give them a reason to come to you and listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many layers to it and there's so many different things that go into it. I remember when I first like put the album out and I was on vacation. Actually, it hadn't even been out yet. I just finished recording it and I was talking to people about like what was coming next. And somebody was like, "Oh, well, you have to get good at Instagram." And I was just like, "Man, I just have no interest in getting good at Instagram. Like I want to do the next record. Like it's like but you have to be able to put things in front of people." I remember like when I was little, it was the whole parental advisory stickers were like being debated, and I didn't realize it all at the time, but why that was so important was like if your album got a parental advisory sticker, then Walmart wouldn't sell it.
Yeah.
And if Walmart didn't sell it, then your CD wouldn't be in stores for like a huge portion of the country.
Right.
Like that was the only place a lot of people could go get CDs. So like getting that label would really cut down your distribution. And there's so much like stuff that goes into it where when I was little, I just thought, man, like all the cool CDs have the advisory and the ones that aren't cool don't have it, you know, swearing, you know, is like
Right.
new
Right.
and fun and exciting when you're in like fourth grade or
That's correct.
whatever.
That's correct. That's correct.
Um, and it's all about like how people like value stuff. And then there's the whole like business side and there's just so many layers to figure out. And like just within the framework of music, like you're talking about, like, oh, I want to work into like some Eastern classical influences. Like,
Hmm.
okay, that's something I don't hear every day.
Right.
You know, that's something that's definitely going to stand out and be unique.
Yeah.
And then it's like, where can we take that? You know, does that make it more accessible if it's on Spotify in
Right.
that part of the world? You know,
Yeah.
or does it just blend in? You know, because it's not unique over there. Like, it's just an interesting way. And I think if you try to over plan it and you try to like a lot of the like releasing songs or like putting things out there is being able to kind of let go of just like, you know, you start off with this whole like grand design and scheme of how everything has to be and how you want to do it, but as you start to kind of do it, you kind of got to like let go of certain aspects of it to let it come out, you know, otherwise you just end up working on it endlessly. And you know, I put that album out 6 years ago. I worked really hard on it. You go into the studio with the intention that it's going to change the whole world, or at least
Yes.
like change your
Yes.
world, you
Yes.
know?
That's right.
And then, but in the back of your mind, you know, like I'm going to put this out. It's going to be cool for a couple of weeks, and then life's going to be normal.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's like
That's right.
we don't do these things like to get like fame out of it. That'd be nice,
Yeah.
or maybe it
No,
wouldn't be.
I know where you're coming from. I remember how Bruce Springsteen used to hate music videos, and
Mm-hmm.
he said, it's not my thing. I'm a musician, but at the same time, with I've learned it hard way myself, that I used to be reclusive as well, and just release my song, and because I think that's the way, that's the idea. That should be the process. But the problem is that these platforms and these engines and this
Mm-hmm.
online space is so algorithmically driven, and it's so biased in terms of revenue, that it is coming back to the same racketeering that once MTV had, uh,
Yep.
and not just MTV, but mainstream media, whether it was national television or national news networks. And there is a reason why Joe Rogan, and Andrew Schulz helped Trump to win. Is because there is so much parallel universe going on, and now it is losing its power. And same is the case but Instagram. I was, from the archaic medieval times of Facebook. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it sounds like, we are talking about hundreds of centuries ago, but Facebook is so irrelevant now that, it sounds like, we are boomers, and, uh,
Yeah.
we're totally out of touch of what's happening in the world. But one good thing that I learned about Instagram is that, you are able to directly message people, and the venues can contact us. So it's good for business as well. And then there is a short format thing, because I remember, you used to send a Spotify link, or Apple Music link, or YouTube link to people, and Spotify wouldn't play your song if you don't have a membership. Apple Music people don't have its membership, and YouTube, if you click it, you are doing something else, and you have to end up closing your browser. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, on one hand, we have the entire universe of music on our phones, but at the same time, and you can, you don't have to. I used to recall, that I had to go out and buy CDs and tapes, and for whatever used to connect with me. And now everything is available, and if you have feeling saturated, there's not much that you can hear, and then you know
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's so much to it, but I think like what I'm thinking about right now as you're talking about this, because I've thought a little bit about it, but I think that a mistake that I think a lot of people make, and I kind of make it too, is like we have all of these avenues and technologies, but it's like if you were to put something out, in the 1950s or 1980s, it's like how would that spread? And it was really about word of mouth
Yes.
and like your storytelling going, like that's how like civilization really started. It was just like people telling each other stories just between the two of them.
That's right.
So like that has to me, that has to be first.
Uh-huh.
And you have to be able to have like an organic, like tight knit thing of like, how would I do this, 50 years ago, 30 years ago? And then assuming that like I can get that rolling, like
Mhm.
then we add the social media stuff.
That's
I
right.
think there's so much like fake crap on the social media stuff, whether it's like, I get these followers, like this beautiful girl is like wants to follow me, and it's like, well, that's just a
Model.
bot or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
But people fall for that or get in, I don't know what happens, but those people aren't looking to like connect with my music. They just want to think that like some hot girl likes them. You know what I mean? Like you
True.
gotta like be really like able to just like authentically put the stuff out there,
Right.
and it has to work. And it, like you say, like a good song is timeless. It has to work like that. Then you add all the
That's right.
icing on the cake, the bells and whistles, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason that TikTok has superseded all of them is that TikTok's algorithm is a little bit more impartial and brings you more real traffic and traction. Because with all these, Instagrams and Facebooks and YouTube, it's more about how many ads you want to get,
Right, right.
than verification and all that bullshit. But having said that, I think the person who has decoded and kind of hacked the algorithm is Taylor Swift. She says that
Mhm.
you are as famous as the number of people you have met. So and coming back to your point that until there is like we get at Brooklyn Music Kitchen, that interaction,
Yeah.
and incredibly talented musicians, they just come there and you discover them, such as yourself. I was speaking to Ryan Dites yesterday, and then there is Zand, who's amazing, and
Hmm.
and then there is Jay something. Jihar, something like that, we are on the way, and you cannot encapsulate or you cannot bog the real musicians down. But again, we are living in an age, and even like Ozzy said that I will actually pay my audience to listen to me. So if Mr. Sabath is saying that I would go for pay for play, then it's fine to go out to people, and and because your material is good, they are sure going to connect. But again, it's about perception. It's the old model that somebody else is presenting you and showcasing you and putting you on a pedestal, and then people take you seriously. So anyway, it was very nice talking to you. We got like
Yeah.
1.5 minute. Give me a wrap up and tell me about your plans, and how you're gonna take it to more people, because more people want to listen to it, should listen to it, because there is too much crappy ad shit and stuff out there, and I want people like yourself to be everywhere.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is putting yourself in the right places, to be able to meet the right people. And I before I moved down to the city, I was talking about moving for a while and just whether or not I should do it. And I just got this feeling like I was trying to, like I was in a pond and I was on this certain lily pad, and I wanted to build this big thing, this huge like music thing
Yeah,
on this lily pad. And it's like, well, if you do that, it's just going to sink to the bottom of the pond.
right.
Can't build on that. You have to like wait for the next lily pad to like float your way
That's right.
and jump to that, and then just keep going and keep not getting attached to like any one certain thing.
That's right.
So the album that's out, like I never really got a chance to play
Hmm.
with a full band until I met the Brooklyn Music Kitchen people,
Right.
and I've since been able to do that. And it's like, you know, okay, like that exists. So like now that can happen. Now I can work backwards. I really want to like mentally want to be working on new stuff. I have like, I don't know, like 40, 50 songs I like want to finish that aren't